Well, everybody, let's get the 1971 Cutlass here in epoxy primer and cut in the door jambs and the fenders. Let's go. All right, guys, and here I've got car kind of covered, ready to do some of the priming, basically. So here's my game plan. Let me turn the camera around, and I'm going to explain what I'm going to do and why. So I have the car here with the front clip off. I have basically the car masked off. You can see the doors, the A-pillars, the new roof skin and the new A-pillars. The cowl area, this is all going to get hit with epoxy primer, as well as the rocker panels. I have the frame rail masked off, the wheel well masked off, the quarter panels, B-pillars, all this area, the trunk surround, because I had to do a bunch of welding in it, is also going to get epoxy primed. And the fenders, the inside and out. Now remember, my fenders were black here, right? Or they're supposed to be color all the way down to here. So just on the back sides here and there, I just want to basically get some epoxy primer on them to, prevent corrosion, right? To, seal them up. So the back sides, I'm just basically going to leave an epoxy primer like this area. I hit it with some kind of semi-gloss black before I put them on. Then the area, this area here all needs to be color, as well as, I'm not worried about the wheel well, the back edge here that you could see, this edge here I'm also going to put in color. So that will let me mount the fenders onto the car, which will let me put the hood back on the car. I live near an airport, small airport, so that'll let me put the hood back on the car. Then the hood's not even blocked down yet, you can see it right there. Neither is the trunk, so that'll let me basically paint all those things on the car. The metallical, it's a very slight metallic color, will flow. And the other reason is I really just don't trust myself to fully paint a fender and put it on, because I'm probably going to be doing all this myself. So that's my game plan, that's my plan of attack. Just to reiterate, in case you didn't see it, the whole roof skin is new. It was terribly rusted, literally Swiss cheese from a vinyl top. The A-pillars both are new. This was just sanded down. It was in really nice shape. Another episode you can see, I'll link in the description, that both the outer cowl panels on both sides and the inner cowl panels have been replaced, as well as I fabricated the cowl to rocker reinforcement, which is underneath both of those. I fabricated that. Door jamb was pretty good. The door, I welded in this section here because it was just Swiss cheese and rusted, and then it was cracked and thinned down. Had to do a little body work on that to get it to blend in. Basically from here all the way to here, see the fresh metal there, I welded that in. And same here over here, the roof, the seam is like right about there, the new AMD roof skin. And I'm trying to think of what else. Oh yeah, I had a little welding to do over here, right down through here. This was rusted as well. You can go to rustreplace.com for those patch pieces. You see the bit of orange in there? Can you see that orange? That's the color that the panel from rustreplace.com comes. So that gutter there is a replacement panel. This one I made myself because I didn't know you could buy it. This side was pretty good. Inner, outer cowl panel, and I repaired the cowl to rocker reinforcement. So that's about where we stand. I'll show you the fenders. I'm just going to tell it to you like it is, guys. I'm kind of afraid of what people will think of me, but whatever. You can see there was little worms poking out. That's holes that they drilled to pull a dent out. And then they leave the holes. That's the old-fashioned way. The Bondo oozes through, and the theory was it helps hold the Bondo in. But they did a decent job of pulling it out. Could have been better. And then I found damage up here, too. So it must have been damaged up at the front sometime. So this car was in an accident at one point. You can see barely see the weld line. See, that's how I think it should be done. You can barely see the weld line. This fender here, fabricated this back portion. It was just rusty, so I made that myself, as well as I made this reinforcement brace and this one here as well. Other than that, I think this fender was in decent shape. By the way, I guess these fenders without the bumps, the later ones have bumps in them. I thought it was 71 and up, have like, they have these little kinks in them so that when you get in a crash, they buckle. I guess these are more desirable. I forget when my car was made, but both of them are the 1970 earlier. So my car might be an early 1971 production where they were using up these fender stampings, but I guess they're desirable. So I don't think my fender, especially this one, would be that desirable with all the, damage on it. But anyway, oh, the funky color here is from the acid etch to treat the bare metal. So I think I'm about ready. First layer of paint that's going to go on here, this is Nason Ful-Poxy 49112, and then this is the mid-temperature activator for it. 2 parts, 1 part, and I have all the material data sheets here with all my notes on them. So I'm ready to go. Gun set up 2-to-1, and then also I highlighted it here 1.4 to 1.5 as far as the nozzle on the gun for gravity feed HVLP, and then it tells you 8 to 10 psi at the gun, 1 medium wet coat, 30 to 40 minutes to put the top coat on. So that'll be the first coat, epoxy primer. Epoxy. So my understanding of epoxy primer is that epoxy, you think of epoxy glue is to adhere, to give really good adherence, and to get really good corrosion protection. Second coat is going to be the urethane primer. This is your primer surfacer. This stuff is the stuff you build up and then you block it down. It is a little bit porous though, so after this, then this is primer sealer. Purpose of the sealer is to seal off, think of this as almost like liquid Bondo, is to seal it off so you have a nice surface that's one, hardness, that's one, not hardness, but not porous, so that then you can top coat that and not worry about thicker and thinner areas where you blocked. Then here, Challenger, this is the base color. It's the same color. It's actually a Hyundai color. As you can see there, right? It's a Hyundai color called Cranberry is what the car, was when I got it. So then this is going to be obviously the base coat, and then I've got the clear coat here. And here's the shop setup. I've got a fan in the window there. It's, I know I technically should be filtering it, but this is primer. Only places that are good any color are just like the edges of the door jamb and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna be okay. This fan here is kind of blowing, so we're basically getting a draft from front out the back of the door of the garage. Car parts over here I covered in plastic. I do have a light over here. It's not in the ideal spot, but I do have a light here now to help see what the crap I'm doing. I think that'll be okay there. Stools so that I can get up, so I can paint the middle of the car, of the roof. Front of the car, got all this stuff here, more parts in the transmission and stuff all covered up. The hood over there, it's a little bit peeking out, but that's gonna get sanded down anyway. But all the stuff here is covered up. This to stand on, so then I can get my arm to the middle of the roof. First coat of epoxy primer is done. You can see where the filler is. All that should get taken care of. I'm just going to trust the process. I think it's a little light there. I'm going to put it there. I think it's okay. I'm not sure what happened there. I may have to sand that back down. All right, so I'm going to show you the result. Here we are, it's the next day. It is in primer surfacer. Outer inner cowl panels are cut in, body color, clear coat, base coat, clear coat. The underhood portion of the fenders, as well as the back edge there that this back edge that you can see when you open up the door, is done in body color. And also the trunk gutter, the trunk surround. Oh shoot, almost fell. The trunk gutter surround here is done in body color. So let me turn the camera around and kind of give you a look. Just real quick before I do this, so let me give you some thoughts. So first of all, when you talk about bodywork, right? We're all at different places in our lives. We all have different things that we value. Not just when I'm talking about with cars, we all have different levels of assets, money that we're available to put into a car, and different amounts of money that we're willing to put into a car. And there's also different things that make us happy. Bodywork is one of those things that paint jobs can really be, is divisive, the right word I'm looking for. But anyway, people can get real, upset about some of this kind of stuff. So let me tell you where I'm at. I thought I was buying a car that really didn't need any bodywork per se. So when I wound up having to replace multiple panels, it was kind of shock to my system. This car is like way, as all decent cars are, way over budget, right? I don't care that much about having a perfect car, bodywork. I just don't care. I just don't, right? So anyway, this is obviously not a frame off restoration. That's why you saw me doing things like sanding down the frame and painting the frame rails. Body's not coming off, doesn't need it. I want a car that I can take to the car show and not be embarrassed about, right? But let's just say somebody comes over and looks at the car that knows show quality cars, like, oh, paint job's not perfect, right? Who painted it? I did in my garage. Oh, really? if it looks good enough, it's good enough for me. Does it kind of make sense? So, I mean, the paint materials alone is about $1,000, I think, $1,200. I'll total it up just in paint materials. You know, the roof skin was like $450. The A-pillars were like $80, $90. The inner and outer cowl panels left and right were a little over a couple hundred a piece. So let's call it about $500 in the inner and outer cowl panels. The floor section that I replaced was like 100 and some. So I don't know, whatever that total is. It's not a lot for body work, you know, because all the labor was my own, you know, materials and stuff like that is incidental. But I'm going to be just DOH, direct, open, and honest with you. I'm going to show you some of the flaws as much as I can. But on video, the nice thing about primer on video is it looks perfect. It's definitely not. You know, I was looking at it while I was in epoxy primer, noticing all the bodywork flaws that I missed. So let me show you how it came out. First, most obvious thing is going to be with the paint quality, just from the fact that it's painted in my garage. Now, for example, right here, now this is under the trunk lid, so I'm not sure if I will reshoot that. I may reshoot this, so that's going to need filler. You can clearly see there's a divot there. Just missed it. Now here you can see some trash in the paint. Some of that may wet sand out, but I don't know if to be honest with you, I really don't know if I give a rip that much to wet sand the underneath the trunk portion, right? You can see some ripples there. That's definitely from bodywork because I welded across here and that got sanded unevenly. I don't know. We'll see how ambitious I am. I may redo that. That bothers me a little bit, to be honest with you. And that does bother me a little bit. So I may reshoot this. What I'll probably just do is just fix the bad parts, you know, fill, prime, and then just scuff the rest and hit it, you know. So in other words, I don't need to re-sand it all down to, you know, just the bad parts need to be really sanded down. I noticed one spot here, and I think this is really just from sanding too much is what this was, and I sanded through. That's one of the downsides of sanding down, like not sanding down to bare metal. The reason I didn't take it all the way down to bare metal, I believe they did take it down to bare metal once. I went down to the original primer of the original paint job, because if I went below that, in other words, I was kind of like trusting and I'm kept the block sanding because the car was pretty straight. I'm gonna try and get it, but right here you can see kind of a halo, like a ring. You can kind of see that. It goes up and around, but anyway, I do have a pretty decent amount of primer surfacer on there, so we're gonna find out if that's gonna let me block it out or not. I'm gonna try and see if I can find some of the other flaws that I saw. Believe it or not, I mean, when it was wet, you can't really tell. Oh, maybe I'll wet it down for you. Yeah, I think I can wet it down with a grease remover. I'll get this video going before it evaporates, so that puts a little bit of it's evaporating fast, but the bodywork I think is pretty good. I can't see anything, no waves or anything here from nothing from where I welded in the, yeah, that's nice. I see nothing there. Let me highlight this one over here. Now you can see that a little bit of a bump there. Yeah, I think that'll come out with the block sanding. The door here had some issues with it. Prep solve. That's not, you see definitely some kind of something messed up there. I can see a low spot there. You see it? But not bad for welding in a whole new lock area. I can't believe I missed that. But that's the nature of this game, right? Down here, it's easy to see this. I don't know what that is, but you can definitely see it's uneven. Can you see that? It's like an oval area. So that, again, I just basically got to find out if these are shallow enough that they'll come out with block sanding. Don't know. I think this side of the car is more clean. I can already see some, you see like a, not a dent, but a chip, whatever. Scratch, line, but no waves, no large waves, which is nice because this is where I welded in the roof. The seam is like right there, invisible. I'm happy about that. Here, there was welding up through here, you know, replace the inside of that, the trunk, or the, what do you call it, the window channel there. I don't know, I'll have to see. That looks pretty good, but I see a little line there. But I think it's going to be okay, you know what I mean? So, like I said, you can see little bits of trash in the paint. So I'm really debating if I'm actually going to shoot the you know, body. Got a bunch of crap in that. That'll need to be sanded out and repainted. And this might need to be black anyway. I'm not sure if that's body color or not. But, and again, this is not a restoration, so if I want that painted, I might just leave it painted, you know, but I may have to just hit that, and I can hit that when I actually paint the car. So that I can sand out. But I guess what I'm saying is, would I be happy if I had the outside of the car like that? See, it does have some trash in the paint. You can see here, I was looking last night. Let me turn the light on. So for example, here, you see it's kind of it's a little bit too dry. The paint didn't flow enough. I didn't put enough clear on it there. Actually, it ran there, and I know what happened here. I hit the can trying to get in this area. I hit this area a couple times with the can of the sprayer. I know this is not professional, and I knew it wouldn't be professional with my level of skill. This is my 7th paint job in 30 years, and I haven't done a decent paint job like on a nice car in over a decade. But I'd rather do it myself and learn. So, see how the paint flowed much better here, but there wasn't enough there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm just debating in my head. I do know a couple people that paint for a living that I could probably pay to come shoot the final coat. Just don't know if I want to do it here. Would putting filters in the window help? Don't know if I can get this garage clean enough. I'm pretty happy with the fenders. And again, would I be happy if the outside of the car looked like that? That came out pretty nice. I love that you can still see the lines from the die where the metal was drawn across the die. Pretty nice. And then this has all been epoxy primered, as you saw in the video. And then I went over it while the epoxy primer still hadn't cured. I went over it with a Krylon Fusion semi-gloss black. And, you know, so the epoxy primer was for more for corrosion protection. And this is just for, you know, make it the color it should be. And I got this edge here is what I wanted to paint. I'm pretty happy with that. You can actually see, like here, can you see there's like a little bit of a harsh line there? So that's from the way I sanded it. Can you see that little bit of a shadow, that line? So that's obviously going to need to be blocked out. Again, I'm going to find out. Just because there's primer on here doesn't mean you cannot use filler anymore. So, but I guess I can pull this back masking off. And you see I had the tape folded over so I didn't get a harsh tape line. That's kind of the objective with that. So I think for what I'm going for, again, I have no intention on trying to win any shows with this paint job, but I don't want to be embarrassed at a car show. But for what I'm going for, I'm happy. And the fact that I'm doing it myself. And remember, this part from here down was painted all black, which is incorrect. Even though, again, not restoring it, I still want it to, you know, didn't want that black. I just thought it looked really dumb. The engine bay looked bad, so. I'm so happy. This just gives me so much joy, is these braces. That's probably one of the more complicated pieces of fabrication I've ever done. But what do you guys think? Like I said, oh, I don't know if you remember, there was a dent there from putting in this not drop ceiling, but putting in the ceiling. We dropped something, the car dented it. And I looked at that while it was wet, and I could not see a thing. I think that came out perfect. So I think I've got a good base now. We'll start to block it down. This linear blocking tool is going to get used a lot, especially on the side of the doors and on the roof. Linear blocking tools. This thing's pretty awesome. Check those guys out, made in the US. See, it's acrylic, so it's hard. You don't get the foamy. This is a 2-foot long version, and it's flexible. So this is great for long curved panels. You should use sticky back longboard paper. So that's going to get put to use here a lot. What do you guys think? Should I be embarrassed? Should I be proud? You guys agree or disagree? Should everybody's standards be like yours? Or is it okay if we're happy with something that's not perfect? All right, here's where I'm at. I am tired. I'm tired and I'm tired of sanding. Let me show you where the car's at. So as you already know, the car's been sprayed with epoxy primer, as you saw, the primer surfacer, and then I blocked the car down first with 220, found a bunch of spots and, you know, things that I missed. So went over those. I used the, what do you call this stuff? Glazing putty. Advantage to this, very lightweight, dries quicker, and it's very easy to sand. The downside is it's very weak. You know, you can't use it on anything much bigger than a scratch. And in some places it did need a little bit more of the actual filler. Went over that. I even added some primer surfacer from a can on spots. But then once I got the second round of bodywork, you know, done, basically what I did was I put another coat of primer surfacer on it because I wanted to make sure that adding the glazing putty, you know, and things like that in spots, I wanted to make sure I didn't create new highs and lows. So I blocked it down, let me get this right, blocked it down with 220, then I did the filler, then I added a little bit of primer surfacer from a can, then I blocked it down with 400, then I did the car again in primer surfacer. I did not do the roof because the roof looked very clean, so I didn't do the roof the second time. But after the second round of primer surfacer, then I blocked everything down with 400 again. And I think I'm in good shape. That's epoxy primer, so that's okay. But, you know, even like some of these little spots that I found, remember that spot? I got that, I think, dead flat. I think I got the scratches out, and I did. Remember I had those two spots here that were bothering me, and over here it was all wrinkled. So I did those spots as well. It's a lot of dust on it right now, so I gotta, you know, clean the car off. But I think the bodywork is ready to go. I think this thing is ready to paint. Hello everybody, I'm Cobbler Bob. This is my 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass I've been working on. Let's get a car painted today, okay? Let's go. All right guys, as far as the prep goes, you can see on that side, I've got the whole garage curtained off. This side over here as well, I've got the garage curtained off. I've got the, you know, underhood part covered up because that part's not getting painted. This is actually, I think this is a clean room suit I got 20 years ago when I worked at a electronics instrument place. Keithley Instruments, thank you very much. I've got it mask so it doesn't, you know, kind of catch on anything. I got a fresh mask here. Let's see, then what else? Cleaned the car off with a bunch of fresh rags, 2-rag system actually, thank you Ken for the suggestion, with the cleaner, and then tacked it down. Oh, and also let me show you what's going on over here. So this is where the air comes in. I don't know if you can tell. That's a furnace, well, 2 furnace filters are taped up over here. Here's a better shot of the garage. Right, so, and that's all going to the ceiling. So hopefully we're going to keep the dust and stuff to a minimum on this thing. We're going to find out, right? So, first coat is primer sealer. Okay guys, I'm kind of working alone now and I'm, kind of stressed out. There was a lot of trash in the top of the fenders. I don't know if it's coming in through there or just blowing out of somewhere, but I sanded it down with 400 grit. I got a lot of it out. I think I got out here, there was a huge sag and I got that out. So now I'm going to do the clear coat. The bodywork's decent, but man, there's trash in the paint. That's the most disappointing part, but oh well. It's pretty big too. I'll have to let it dry and see how much of it sands out. Other than that, it does look pretty. The bodywork's good where I, cut the panel where I welded the panel in. It's just the trash in the paint. All right, guys, it's the next day here, and let's review the paint job. I'm just going to be direct, open, and honest with you about the things that I did well, that went well, and the things that I didn't, and my lessons from it. Now, remember, this is not a how-to video. I'm clear when I make videos how-to, I'll say how-to, and, when I'm just documenting what I'm doing. And, of course, some of you guys that are expert painters are going to, think, oh, guy's so stupid. The stuff I messed up, I show you. But remember, working with limited resources, and then what happens is you make mental compromises. For one thing, I can't move the car right now. That steering column is not hooked up. The electrical is not hooked up. It doesn't have a drive shaft in it. So it's like, and my driveway is downhill. So even to back the car out and put it back in was kind of impossible. I shouldn't say impossible, but very, very difficult. And I didn't do it. So I tried to clean with the car in here, which is probably one of my biggest mistakes. But anyway, bodywork wise, let me go over that. Seam here, right, where the roof was cut in, there's nothing. It's really good. I can see a little bit, I missed a little bit of something there. And I actually tried to wet sand some of that out, but I missed something there. So that's obviously my bad. But other thing you'll notice, the main thing I'm not happy with is the dirt in the paint. I'll show you like on the top of the fenders. I'm going to just tell you that right now. You can see the nibs, the dirt nibs, which probably came from not being clean enough. So I told this to my daughter, my older daughter, years ago. She thought I was insane. I said, you learn through pain. Like, I don't know if you can see this hand here. If you see right there, it goes across at an angle. There's a scar there, severed a tendon. That's why you'll see when I work on cars now, I'm very religious about not just my eyewear, but you see all these gloves I've gone through. I've literally thrown away on this project, I think 5 or 6 pairs of those leather gloves doing the metal work, because I learned through pain. But bodywork wise, so it's not perfect, pretty good. Remember, I cut all the way across there. You can see some little funny business right there. It's not horrible. Where else did I do body work? Here, I'm very pleased with this. Remember, I cut that out because that was rusted and welded. You can see a little bit of a wave. Tiny, tiny bit right there. That's not even from where I welded, but not bad, not bad. Happy with that. Like I said, I already showed you that roof seam is good. Like some things like that spot that I filled in there came out nice. The fender, all this body work is pretty good. There's a big sag there. I'm pretty sure that's just in the clear coat. So that I will see if I can sand some of that out. Remember, I fixed that. That's much better. That's now acceptable. I missed this. Anyway, we're going to call that patina. That spot there, fix that. Roof seam on this side is good, really good. I can see a little tiny divot right there. I'm okay with it. I can see a little monkey business right there. Oh well, missed that. Don't know how. I think there's another run over here, maybe not. Where was our other body work? This side's pretty decent. There's a sag right there. I think I can sand that out. Remember, I replaced the bottom of this fender. That came out really nice. There's a sag right there. What I really needed is I needed more space on this side of the garage. That's my other learning lesson. But like I said, this dirt in the paint. That's my major nemesis right now. But let me show you. I did a little test run this morning on it. These were some of the biggest dirt nibs that I could find. And there's two there. There were two right there. So this is started with 400 grit, and I've got going up to, I think I've got 2,000. You know, I've got varying grits here. There's 800. I know I've got 1,000. 1,200. And I think I have some 2,000 in here. Yeah, that's 2,000. So what I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure about probably 75-80% of these pieces of dirt, I think I'll be able to get about 75 or 80% of the way out. But garage job, not horrible. She's painted. Thank you guys so much for following along. I hope this brought you some value and maybe some entertainment. If it did, please hit that like button and even consider subscribing. Remember, it's cobbling and cars, so I've got 2 different kinds of content on here, and I've got more of both coming out. All right? Thank you guys, and God bless. Bye.